Derek and Brandon, Pokemon Winds and Waves has been revealed, and it's looking pretty snazzy. Not top of the line in visuals, but a huge jump from Scarlet and Violet. And so I wanted to go through and recapture some of the scenes within Scarlet and Violet and see exactly how much these things have been improved. And I want to start off with probably the most drastic comparison, so allow me just to send it to you guys, and you can tell me what you think.
Wow. All right.
So this is coming from somebody who's only played the smallest bit of Scarlet and Violet. To see it, like, I knew it was better, but to see it just there.
Yeah.
Holy
the water's
crap.
not just flat.
Yeah, the water technology is a huge bump in Winds and Waves. Obviously, there are still some quite low-resolution textures around the game. That rock is still rather low-res, but it is nothing compared to the rock surface that's going on in Scarlet and Violet right now. That's just flat as anything.
I mean, just look at the geometry of the other rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such basic shapes for those rocks in the distance and Violet. Then you look at the actual, like, it feels like a flowing landform.
Yeah. The lighting is a huge part of it too. If you just look at the sky, how things are diffusing off each other, it's completely flat in the last game, whereas now you've actually got some pretty nice looking lighting, especially with the reflections on the waves as well. It looks pretty good.
There's even, like, the distant detail doesn't seem to diminish at all. Like, the island in the background of the wave screenshot feels full and alive.
Yeah. Shall we move on to the next screenshot?
Show me.
This one...
Yeah, that's how see how shocking
this one
is.
isn't as drastic. We've got a comparison of the Pokemon centers in the overworld, which look very similar in their design. They're still just going to be plopped around. But I think a big thing to focus on is the background detail here, because if you were to focus on what's going on in Scarlet and Violet, you've got a very flat background of the main school area there.
Yeah, and it's kind of ugly.
it's kind of Nintendo 64-ish, honestly, looking at some of those. Obviously, up-res N64 in a lot of those cases, but it's still, like, everything feels so flat. And I'll give the grass in the foreground a little bit of a break because it's going for a more cartoonish look, which is fine for Pokemon. It's fine to have that kind of look for it, but my God, just looking at just the ground and the designs, and even just how more natural flow of, like, yeah, here's the Pokemon Center, but it just flows right into everything else. It's just built into everything. It doesn't stand out. I don't know. There's something very appealing about whatever this land is in Winds and Waves.
Yeah. The Pokemon Center itself too. Like, if you look at the counter, there's a screen, I guess those are magazines or something. There's just a lot more going on. Because the Pokemon Centers in Scarlet and Violet are just two people standing at empty desk.
Mm-hmm. There's something that we'll talk about a bit later on as well. There's some neon signs here, so things are glowing quite nicely. And that's definitely going to come into play later. But let's move on to the next screen, which is... Let's go with... One sec. Okay, this one here. This is definitely more of a lighting scene, but we have a windmill comparison.
Oh, boy.
So there's not a whole lot of geometry going on in Scarlet and Violet in this scene. It's hard to capture this windmill. But I think the way that Waves and Winds is looking up, and you sort of get the lighting from the sun diffusing on the windmill, actually looks really, really nice.
You can even see, like, the way that light and shadow cast on the brickwork.
Yeah.
On the cylindrical part. There's so much more depth in the image here.
There's a nice subtle touch as well, because you can see the rust on the panels of the windows.
Oh, yeah.
That just, again, it's those little touches that make it feel so much more alive or weathered or real that bring it in there. And, it comes across as very sterile in the other one. It's fine. It has it's a look, but there's something just, I don't know, cozy about the Waves one.
You can catch a few more elements of the Winds and Waves namesake as well, because obviously waves are a huge part of this game, but so is the wind as well. So there's a lot of things blowing, and you can see in that wave shot there, you can actually see a bit of grass just being caught by the wind and being caught around. Pay attention to the clouds as well. They're very flat in Scarlet and Violet. And they're dynamic in Waves and Winds, which again is part of the winds.
That makes me think
I've noticed that up to that point. This is probably the best looking clouds Violet's had so far in a screenshot, but it's still blown away by Waves.
It kind of says to me that weather effects will be a lot more pronounced and dynamic in Winds and Waves, because those clouds, since they're dynamic, they'll be able to create a storm in a more like realistic way.
So I only have one more for this comparison. There's another one coming up straight after. This is actually quite close in area design. We've got two cliff edges with grass.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Violet looks like Windows 98 screensaver in some ways.
Well, a big thing to keep into account with Scarlet and Violet as well is the grass is drawn very close to the player. So if you look a bit ahead, you can see where the grass stops being rendered and it just becomes flat green. That doesn't seem to be the case in Wind and Waves. I mean, it's quite a tight shot, but you can see a lot more background detail than anything in the last game.
I think the thing that gets to me is that it's definitely not as advanced tech as as Breath of the Wild, but I get still Breath of the Wild vibes of the softness of the environment in Waves, where it's just Violet is just like, here you go, just enjoy. It's no wonder it's like something just felt off about Scarlet and Violet as you played it.
There's
from a visual standpoint
also seemingly some, like, I don't know if it's simulated or if it's real, but like volumetric lighting happening.
It looks like it.
Yeah, the way it just kind of like casts through the air, and then you have a big light ray down the middle of the screen, but it's a lot more convincing of an image than just the cartoony flatness of Scarlet and Violet.
I mean, as always with Pokemon, focus on the trees as well. In the distance in Waves, you can see the light is piercing through the leaves, where there's none of that in Violet and Scarlet because it's quite static lighting.
I couldn't tell you where the sun is in Violet.
True. That's true.
Well, that's the last Violet and Scarlet screen I have. But I decided to also compare it to another game, which is perhaps the best-looking Pokemon game that's ever shipped, being New Pokemon Snap, which is, of course, a static game. You can't explore it, so the environments are very deliberately designed. However, I think there are still a lot of advancements in the open world, Waves and Winds. So let's begin with this volcanic scene, which I don't believe Violet and Scarlet even has a volcanic area, but here we are.
We got more hints of what appears to be volumetric lighting here coming off of Slugma. He glows.
I think the other thing to me, I think that I know you guys noticed quite a bit during the live reaction. The Pokemon have a lot more texture to them now. They're not just flat. I think that helps this a lot. Not just with the light that's coming off Slugma themselves, but just the fact that it has any kind of texture at all. It's not just like, okay, we got a render, it's in there, we're working with it. It's nice to see that they've reached a point where they can sort of start refining the actual Pokemon themselves.
Yeah. Going through this area again in New Pokemon Snap, it's very intense. Like, everything's just a big orange. If you look at Slugma and the lava, they're barely a different hue. Whereas there's a lot of differences between Slugma and the lava on the floor in Wind and Waves. But you can also see a pretty glaring example of low-resolution textures. That rock that Slugma's on doesn't look particularly good. But this game is also a year away, and it is a huge improvement to what we had in the past.
And I know he's glowing, but his body isn't casting any shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this scene here is not exact, but it's about as close as I could get to a sort of a pond environment. And again, I think the lighting and the water is just such a huge change.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I don't know. Have we ever had a swamp in Pokemon before? Certainly not in any of the 3D games. So
Arceus
the fact that we
did.
even have water of this type to go through is significant in and of itself. It feels different for Pokemon.
Legends Arceus had a swampy kind of bog.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't look nearly as refined as this.
Yeah. You know, going through Scarlet and Violet to get this footage, a lot of areas look the same because the weather conditions are basically the same no matter where you go. Whereas this swamp here clearly has a very different vibe and atmosphere to the fields we've seen in the past. So it seems like the actual biomes are going to reflect all those dynamic elements in a way that you never really saw before.
You can even see it in the way that, like, the stalks of the lily pads and the trees that go underwater, the way they, like, that light is, like, refracting and reflecting, it feels a lot more convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We've got 2 final shots. One is above water and one is underwater. Now, I think New Pokemon Snap's water is actually quite good, but it's obviously a very different vibe to what we're getting in these games.
Yeah, that one with the Snap water, there's a function to at least its water, because you need to kind of keep it clear so you can see the Pokemon coming so you can ready the shot. So you can kind of give it a pass, but just having those natural waves in waves is really nice.
Yeah, there's, I don't know, like the waves add so much texture to the world. And it feels like it'll play like a functional element. Like I mentioned storms before. I wonder if the waves will get like more intense if it's raining or storming. Will that affect the Pokemon in the world? I feel like there's just a lot more potential because of what's going on here in the visuals.
Yeah. Now, this is the last shot we have, and maybe the closest shot we have. So let me just send this along.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Very
Notice
similar
how
area.
things in the distance and waves, like under the water, they get darker, harder to see, murkier. That's so nice.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
And I was talking about the glowing on the Pokemon Center earlier. We saw it again on Slugma, and we're seeing it right here on the left.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Pokemon illuminating.
Whereas it's not happening at all in New Pokemon Snap.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. I mean, again, there's a more cartoon feel to Snap, whereas Waves is, I think Brandon put it best. There's texture to it. It feels real, lived in, authentic, which we've never had in Pokemon before.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a style that you would think would work, but there's something about it just that there's a cohesion here that is really working for me right now.
This game being on Switch 2 is starting to make a lot more sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think...
Yeah, this has to be a Switch 2 exclusive, and them giving themselves another year, potentially another year and a half if they decide to wait till the usual October slot. There's a lot of time to make this even look better and run really well.
Like, you can look at the Winds and Waves trailer and pause it in several areas, and you are going to see some pretty shoddy texture work, but taken as a whole, like all the lighting, all of the weather conditions and the gameplay elements, I think it all comes together to make a really nice, cohesive whole, which Pokemon hasn't had since it was 2D.
Yeah.
Not especially.
I still, when you look at the game, I can still kind of feel like it's foundationally built in the technology from Scarlet and Violet, but with just a lot more power and a lot more time put into it.
The times they keep up.
I wonder if Monolith Soft is helping at all.
Maybe. It wouldn't be that surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have quite a bit of support teams, and I could see them like maybe calling them in, help out a little bit. I wasn't sure if I'm going to get a chance to bring this up again, but I do want to go back to the Pokemon Center screenshot as another point of comparison. Your trainer is such a dork.
Scarlet and Violet.
And you look at the trainer in Winds and Waves and finally I said this in the discussion, but man, it's nice to have actually a cool design for the male trainer for the first time in a long while.
Yeah,
we don't know where this game takes place in the real world, but he sure is giving me Outback vibes.
Yeah. Same.
With his
outfit. It's the hat.
Yeah.
Well, both of you, thank you so much for joining me for this. It is exciting to see how this game is coming along, and it's exciting that we're not getting it anytime soon. Give it time to cook, and hopefully it will look even better by the time we get it. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.